Blog Talk Radio.
Guest, this guy's been on a roll lately. Former world champion, successful trainer. Been on the show a couple of times already. Always a great thrill to speak with Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. Eddie, welcome back to the show.
It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you very much.
All right. Now, Eddie, I want to take you back a little bit to May the 3rd. When you had a very successful night in the corner of several fighters. But the one fight I wanted to speak to you about was the Jay Beyond Love fight against Marco Antonio Peribon. A big scare there for a minute. Looked like Love was even in a little bit of trouble of being stopped. Obviously bounced back beautifully. Take us back to when you were watching that in the corner. Did you think that the referee was stopping the fight? It was a little unclear to us who were watching, weren't so close to the action. How did you see it?
Well, what I told Jay was to take a knee. I kept yelling out to take a knee, and at the last minute, he took the knee. It was supposed to be a stop, no doubt about it. But that is a tribute to his great conditioning that he was put through in order to win that victory in that fight.
Now, did he take the knee hearing your instructions, or was that instinct? Was he even able to hear at that point, or was that something he did on his own?
All I was doing is what a smart corner would do when his man is in trouble, a knee. Take a knee, because he can only, and he should only, hear one voice, and that's the trainer that's in charge. And he took the knee.
All right, and he certainly bounced back beautifully, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, didn't think he would have that type of resolve to be able to bounce back. I mean, I'm not sure what people based it on. He obviously don't know what's going to happen until the fighter is actually put into that situation, but he faced adversity and passed it with flying colors. Now, as a trainer, Eddie, do you have some kind of an idea that a fighter can get through that beforehand by working with the guy, or are you just as surprised or waiting to see as everyone else?
No, I was never surprised, because, like I said, of the condition we was in, and I would tell all my guys, if you should get hit and you should happen to go down, the first thing you do is look in your corner, but I will give you instructions on what to do. I would pick up the count from the referee, and I will signal to the fighter when it's time to get up, and that's what I did.
Now, when he gets back to the corner after escaping some really dire moments, what's the attitude like in the corner? You run a very calm and controlled corner at all times from what I observe, but is there any hidden panic in there that you have to conceal? You obviously don't want to show that to the fighter, but what's going on in your mind that you're not showing us?
The thing is that if the fighter sees that the corner is panicking, he'll go into a panic. So right away, when he comes back to the corner, I said, we had a little scare there. I said, well, you know what to do. Let's go back to what brought us to this point in the fight. At that point, we were shutting him out. We were out jabbing him. Jay, a lot of people don't know, but Jay has a terrific jab. And I just brought it to the forefront where he doubled and tripled the jab. And that's what he did. He used combinations. Everything was clicking on all cylinders. He just happened to get hit. And,
right.
Like I said, when he went down, he looked at me, and I picked up the count and signaled to Jay when it was all right for him to get up. And he got up, and the first thing he did was hold and grab until your head get clear. And he did that.
Yeah, he certainly did, and won pretty much on a shutout the rest of the way, and his stock goes up immensely. And obviously, when we see a performance like that, we all ask ourselves, when we want more. When is we going to see him next? What do you think the timetable is for him to get back into the ring?
Well, I'm not sure, but I'm looking at September 13th on Floyd's card, because Floyd is his promoter. So I guess he'll fight again on Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s card.
Right. Now, obviously, that's the big question everybody's trying to figure out is who that opponent will be for Floyd Mayweather Jr. You got any inside information on that, Eddie?
No, I couldn't tell you because I'm not privy of who's Floyd going to fight next.
Do you have a special preference as a fan? If you had your choice, do you have like a vote that you would want to cast if there was a poll? Is there a certain fighter you would like to see Mayweather in against next?
You know what? I'm like this here. You can put Floyd in with anybody. You know, his weight. He's going to beat them all. That's about right. I like to see him fight Cotto again. You know,
yeah, that's one a lot of people are saying. Yeah, a lot of people are speaking of that.
So I think Cotto is rejuvenated, and I think he'll make it an even closer fight.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all it remains to be, and obviously you're busy working with a lot of fighters, and you were busy this past weekend once again in the corner of Chad Dawson. Now, you were with Chad prior, and you guys split up. Then he went away for a little while. Now you're back working with Chad. Describe how you guys got reconnected. What were the circumstances there?
No, you know what? I'm not saying that I'm the best trainer in the world, but this is what I do. You know, I went 15 rounds in my career, and I know how to bring the best out of a fighter. I'm not a yes man. I'm not a no man. You know, you come to me, I'm going to bring out the best of your ability, and that's what I do. And Chad knows that I know his style, and I can work with his style, and I've done that. You know, we won titles. We defended titles. We beat the top guys out there. So, I mean, listen, at one point maybe he thought it was time for a change. So I let it go. You know, I mean, listen, I wasn't mad at him. But then again, he came back. You know, I knew I was always going to be the guy for Chad.
Now, Chad is certainly an interesting fellow, all the talent in the world, and obviously passes his first test back on Saturday, first round knockout. And definitely some critics were talking about the weight, overweight in some people's eyes. Obviously, he didn't go to rounds to really see how it would affect him. But from here on in, what do you think Chad's ideal weight would be if you had your say in the matter? And did you think he was a little too overweight for that fight?
Look, let me explain to you. This is about this so-called overweight situation. Chad, the contract was for Chad to come in at 180 pounds. Now, you have to realize Chad was off for a whole year doing nothing. So, evidently, he gained a few pounds. First thing we did was to bring him down nice and slow. We only had about 5 weeks to do that. You know, so we got him down to 182 pounds. He jumped on a scale. He was 182. So then again, what happened when he rehydrated, Showtime came into the locker room, and Chad had his cup on, his boxing shoes, his boxing gear, his robe, and everything else. Then they wanted him to jump on the scale. So he jumped on the scale and was, I think it was 202. So that's what they put on it. But listen, they got to have something to talk about anyway, so they might as well talk about that.
Right.
They failed to realize everybody loves a comeback. And he did what he had to do to the opponent, and that was it. He was in great condition.
Yeah, he certainly, has been a guy that's had his ups and downs, and you've certainly been in the corner for a lot of his good moments. But going forward, what weight class do you think would be ideal for him? Could he make it down to the light heavy, or is cruiserweight more suited for him at this point?
No, normally I'd like to have an 8-week training camp with Chad and all my guys. We always have an 8-week training camp. We didn't have that. We had 5 weeks. So I'm sure if we'd had that 8 weeks, coming in at 180 pounds wouldn't have been no problem.
You mentioned that they need something to talk about, Eddie, and in this case, I thought, I don't know if you saw the Showtime telecast after the fact, but I thought they were really not doing a good job of doing Chad justice, and they were really trying to disparage him, and the weight was just a part of it. They were also saying that at this point in his career, the only thing he's looking for out of his corner man is to give him water. Now, obviously, in between rounds. And obviously, you bring a lot more to the table than that, and I'm not sure where these comments came from, but they certainly don't seem justified, especially if he went back to a knowledgeable boxing man like yourself. What do you have to say about comments like that?
But that goes to show you what type of mentality those announcers have. Listen, we have nothing against the announcers. They have their job to do, but what they need to do is stop trying to downgrade the fighter and call it like you see it. They did not know the hardships that we had to put Chad through to get down to 182 pounds. That's what he weighed at the official weigh-in, 182. So he was 2 pounds over the prescribed weight, and we paid the opponent I think it was $3,000 for the fine. And that was it. And then, like I said, he had on all his trunks and his boxing shoes, his cup, and then they wanted to weigh him again after he rehydrated. But, I mean, listen, like I said, they got to have something to talk about, so it's good that they, keep talking about him in that situation. But he'll prove them all wrong. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that, and what kind of a timetable do you expect? How much say do you have in that, actually, like when he could fight again? I would imagine the best thing for him would to be more active after having the long layoff, and at what point should we expect to see Chad Dawson in the ring again this calendar year?
Well, I like to see him fight at least 2 more small fights like he's doing now, just to get his confidence back and get his mind back on the winning track. About 2 more fights, and then the beginning of next year, let's go after big guns.
Right. That sounds like a good idea, because I always thought that with Chad, sometimes the management might have been a little off. It seemed like he was going in there with all these experienced guys like Glenn Johnson and Tarver, and then having to fight Pascal on foreign soil, and then moving down in weight to challenge Andre Ward, which seemed to be what he wanted to do, and you can't fault him for wanting to challenge the best. But it seems like he hasn't really had that chance. He's always in there with the best of the best, and sometimes you need to hone your skills a little bit, like you said, before you get in there again with another big fight. Would you agree with that?
But what you got to realize that Chad was a 2-time world champion at a very young age. At 24, he was world champion. So at one point he was ahead of his schedule. Now what he's working on is his experience and the moves that I show him. I just think that he's going to get better and better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he definitely can do it. Yes. Go ahead.
You got to realize he was on the verge of stopping Pascal before Pascal butted him. He hit it with that left uppercut right on the chin. Pascal was out on his feet. And when Chad went to go finish him off, Pascal just, rammed his head into his eye. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. I mentioned that on the show a bunch of times, especially after that fight happened. I actually thought that fight as a whole was a lot closer than what people were saying as well, and Chad was definitely coming on there at the end. And, as a fan, I'm glad to see him back in your corner, number one, and obviously trying to get back on track because I think he is a special talent and hasn't really gotten his due over the past few years for whatever reason.
Well, you know what? People only remember you, for your losses. They don't remember you for the victories, the great victories over great fighters. With Glenn Johnson twice, Antonio Tarver twice. They forget all about that. But listen, that's what makes the world go around. People forget, and they just keep it moving. That's all.
Well, yeah, I mean, it certainly is a good story as it keeps going, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that. And you're doing a good job getting back with Mr. Dawson. And I want to switch gears a little bit, Eddie, and talk about something that's obviously very sad. I was trying to do this a while back, when it at first happened, and I'm talking about the unfortunate passing of Matthew Saad Muhammad, who I say is the most exciting fighter I ever saw. I always say you were one of the slickest fighters I ever seen, and Matthew is one of the more exciting fighters, and you obviously became friends with Matthew Saad Muhammad. You fought Matthew Saad Muhammad back in 1977. Talk about your experiences with him, what it was like fighting him, what it was like being friends with him during all these years, and obviously the untimely passing, which was way too early for everybody. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Well, after we fought in 77, we became good friends. We forgot all about that we even fought each other. And, we just started hanging out with each other, him coming to New Jersey, spending the night at my house on a few occasions, me coming to his home in Philadelphia, hanging out with him. I was even at his wedding when he got married. We had a great relationship and a great friendship. And when I always say you only remembered from your last fight, and it's sad. Here's a guy, a Hall of Famer, and I've seen where when they have big fights in Atlantic City or Madison Square Garden, they wouldn't even give him a free ticket to attend.
Wow,
that's why I would never ever ask these promoters for a ticket to get into a fight. Because that's embarrassing. A guy of his quality, what he brought to the table, what heart, what fortitude, he brought it all out and left it in the ring. And for people and promoters to turn their back on a guy like that, I've seen it done. To Saad, like I said, I would never ask a promoter for a ticket. I'd rather buy a ticket and, just relax and enjoy the fight. But I know how these guys are, these promoters are. They would give the tickets to their friends that don't even know boxing. And it's crazy. But that's how it is. That's how they look at us when our careers are over.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's the sad side of it. Like you said, it's just one of those things, and keeps on going and going. If you can you share a story or two that you had a special moment with Saad Muhammad over the years?
Oh yeah, one time I was sitting in my house, and at that time, I had bought a brand new Rolls Royce. So Saad seen my Rolls Royce, and he was very enthused about it. So I'm sitting in my house relaxing, and I was telling my wife, I think I'm going to trade my car in, my Rolls Royce, and I want to get another Rolls Royce. So all of a sudden, up the street, here comes a Rolls Royce, convertible top. It was a nice maroon and white interior, beautiful, immaculate Rolls Royce. So I'm figuring that my wife ordered it for me. And lo and behold, Saad Muhammad driving in my driveway. That was a fun experience. I mean, I laughed my head off. And all we did was ride around and just hung out in the city and Manhattan, went to dinner. It was we just had a good times, a really, really good times.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys certainly fought at a time when the light heavyweight division was, stacked. You guys fought everybody,
Right.
and obviously you had the great fight in '77 and all those memories. And as a fan though, what was your favorite moment with Matthew Saad Muhammad in the ring? He has so many exciting fights, so many great fights to choose from. Can you give us one of his fights that really stuck out for you back then when you were obviously a fighter as well and a fan, of course?
Well, I seen him when he fought Richie Cates. When Richie hit Saad with a beautiful right hand, Saad was out on his feet. All of a sudden, Richie hit him again, and it woke him back up. And it was just crazy, man. He had such fortitude. I mean, you can hit him all day. Him and Yaki Lopez had great fights. Him and John Conkey had great fights. I mean, him and Billy Dynamite Douglas had great fights. I was at all those fights. And I've seen him come back from the brink of defeat and pull out the victory. You got to give it to him. And he belongs in the Hall of Fame because he showed everybody what it means to have a lot of heart. And he had a lot of heart, no doubt.
Yeah, obviously. I always say you're definitely one guy who also belongs in the Hall of Fame. We've spoken about this in the past a few years back. It's just one of those things that just doesn't make any sense to me, and we've spoke about this in Lance. Now, are you ever even invited to the Boxing Hall of Fame, asked to attend? Because there are a lot of fighters who go there who are non-inductees but often get asked to go. Did they ever do that with you, Eddie?
Yeah. What happened was I just had 2 major surgeries, and I was invited to the Hall of Fame on this last induction which they had. I had guys fighting at Turning Stone. So me and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and a couple of our friends, we visited the Hall of Fame. And Ed Brophy, he wanted me to come back during the induction. He was going to pay for everything. But I've had back surgery in December, and I just had left hip replacement a month and a half ago. So I couldn't make the induction ceremony. But I was invited, and, it was a lot of people pushing for me to get into the Hall of Fame. Listen, it is what it is. If I don't make it, I'm not going to lose sleep. I'm in the Hall of Fame with my kids, my grandkids. So I'm in the Hall of Fame already. So I'm cool with that. I can live without being inducted. It's not the end of the world for me. Life keeps going. I'm involved in boxing every day. I've done more for this sport than any fighter alive. I've done so much for this sport by trying to create a union so these guys can eat when it's all said and done, when they can't raise their hands up again to fight. I've done a lot for this sport.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Situation in the forefront. So, like I said, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I can live with what I've accomplished in boxing and what I'm still doing in boxing because I make champions all the time.
I was going. Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
I train the majority of the guys on Floyd Mayweather's money team. So I mean, I'm always busy. I have about 10 fighters in the gym, maybe even more than that. I just got a brand new fighter today that came to the gym from New York. So I mean, I just keep it moving. My job is to make champions. That's what I do.
Yeah, I certainly know how busy you are because I've been trying to get you on the show for past month or so, and it's been hard, but I'm glad I have you now. And I was going to ask you about your health situation with the surgeries that you've had. Obviously, you've been putting on Facebook, and we give you all our best wishes there. How's it going for you? Everything seems to be good. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm recuperating right now as we speak. I'm walking without the use of a cane. And it's so funny. I got a guy fighting tomorrow, Friday, and I was in the gym with him. And I'm always in the gym. I don't care how unsteady my legs are. I'm going to be in the gym. I'll get to the gym. And so I've been in the gym with my guys on the money team, and everything has been going good. Guys fighting tomorrow night. And I'm looking for another victory out of my guy, Ladarius Memphis Miller. He's 2-0 right now. He's a part of the money team. So we're doing real good. We're doing real good.
All right, sounds excellent. And Eddie, obviously you talk about how you want to improve the sport and get these guys to have a lot more security when it's all said and done. Very important stuff like that. What are the biggest obstacles that you run into in getting something like that done? Because it would seem to me that that would be something that would be a no-brainer that everybody would want to be a part of, but it seems to be a very elusive thing to get done.
Well, you know what it is. Sometimes the promoter don't want to divulge or disclose what he's getting from the networks, because there's still, foul play, a lot of skullduggery in boxing, even the decisions that's been rendered. I've seen Floyd Mayweather shut Canelo Alvarez out, and one lady called it a draw. And I'm like, wait, maybe there's something wrong with my TV. It's crazy. It's ludicrous. What they do in the boxing. They call it the red light district. That is no joke. That is no joke.
Yeah, definitely. Over the years, we've definitely seen a lot of the bad side of boxing, the business side, so to speak. Often the business side of things isn't the best for the boxers, and it certainly isn't the best for the fans. But the promoters certainly make a lot of money off of it, and it's one of those things that you would like to see change,
Yeah, at the end of the day, the one that's going to get hurt is the fighter himself, not the promoter. The promoters are going to always make the big money. The fighters who people pay to see, always the low man on the totem pole.
Yeah, it's just not right. And like you said, it's just have to move on and do what you can. And if there were more people like you trying to make it right, we would get somewhere. But you keep fighting that good fight. And like you said, always in the gym. So let's talk now about some of the fighters you already mentioned. Fight tomorrow. Who else do you have on the horizon? Who are you getting ready for some big fights out there? When can we expect to see them?
Oh, I got a kid named Ronald Graville. He's from Romania. He's 10-0 with 7 knockouts. He can punch with both hands. As soon as I brought him to Floyd, and Floyd witnessed that power, he signed him up right away. I got the former champion, Ishe Smith. He's on a comeback trail. He was former champion, and he was the first Nevadan, born and raised in Nevada, to win a world title. A lot of people come to Vegas and live here, but Ishe was born and raised, and he was the first Nevadan to win a world title. I got J. Leon Love. His next fight could be a world title fight because of the great fight he did with Perryabon. I got Luis Arias. He's right now 9-0 with I think it's 7 knockouts. I got a great stable of fighters that we have a good camaraderie in the gym. I got Ladarius Memphis Miller, who's fighting tomorrow night, and he's 2-0, and everything is just. I'm very blessed to have these guys have the confidence to meet to guide their careers. You know, and Floyd keeps them busy. That's the main thing. You know, Floyd keeps them busy on cards and even on his undercards. So we have a team. We have a great gym, and everything is just going great.
All right. Sounds great, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. And before I let you go, we have a really good fight, an intriguing fight for me and a lot of the boxing fans this weekend when Terrence Crawford faces off against Yuriorkis Gamboa. And everybody I seem to talk to, it seems to be split 50-50 down the middle as to who they think is going to win. Can you offer analysis of what you think is going to go down in that fight Saturday night?
Well, Terrence Crawford is a pretty good fighter. I'm not taking nothing away from him since he won the world title. I see his confidence is growing even more. Now you got a guy like Gamboa who has tons of experience. You know, it all depends how good a condition Gamboa comes in because, you know, he's been knocked down a few times.
Right.
I'm sure Terrence Crawford knows that. So, to me, it's a toss-up, 50-50 fight. But they're fighting in Crawford's hometown of Omaha.
Right.
So, to me, it's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask you about that as well before we let you go. Fighting in the hometown, oftentimes I've talked to fighters, Devin Alexander in particular, where he said he wasn't really in love with the idea. A lot of added pressure, a lot of annoyances, added pressure to look spectacular in front of the people that love you. What has been your experience if you ever fought in your hometown? Obviously, you're a Brooklyn guy. Did you ever experience something like that? And have you had any fighters who've had to fight in their hometown and it didn't work out for them? Well, I mean, a lot of people say it's great too. So where do you stand on it with your experiences?
Well, it's a catch-22 situation. And, you know, first and foremost, you have your friends and family who are there to give you support. And then again, you have everybody's bucking you for tickets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, this, like I said, it's a catch-22 situation. So it could be good for you and it could be bad for you. But, you know, I just tell them, listen, in the event that we have to do that, you know, we'll take the phones off the hooks. You know, don't tell nobody what hotel we're in. I'll go take it from there. I know how to deal with all that. So like I said, I've experienced, I've been around, I know how the game goes.
All right, you certainly are, and you keep fighting a good fight, and good luck to you and your stablemate in the future, and we'd love to have you on again soon. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, I'll give you some final words. Is anything you want to leave the fans with? Anything else you want to add to what you've already said? It's been a pleasure, and we hope to talk to you again.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the many fans out there that prayed for me during my recovery period and my surgeries that I had. I want them to know that I'm recuperating. You know, my family's taking care of me real good. You know, all my daughters, my wife, are waiting on me hand and foot, and I gave away the cane, so I'm not using my cane anymore. So I'm just going to the gym and making more world champions. That's what I love doing.
All right, sounds good. And you keep going, Eddie, and you have a great rest of your evening, and good luck with the fights coming up. You
too now. You take care now.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, wonderful. Just one of my favorite fighters. I say that often. Growing up watching him, I talk about the first real boxing memory that I've had was with Leon Spinks beating Muhammad Ali